Canada's business tax environment was once advantageous for attracting investments and others, and we've lost a bit of our edge there to U.S. and other countries, combining with our inability to, with our projects and get to market, regulatory hurdles, and then there's this chill for investment here in Alberta. You can feel it. People are like holding tight, right? And they're putting their money other places. So why would a company invest private capital in Calgary when there's regulatory uncertainty and regulatory certainty and tax advantages to do so globally?
Well, let's talk about the tax advantages or the tax differences in the United States. They have moved forward with massive corporate tax cuts that brings them down close to where Canada is. So we had, or at where Canada is. So we had a long advantage for a long time. That they've now tried to even out, but they've evened it out in a way that, quite frankly, adds tens of billions and eventually trillions of dollars to the national debt in the United States. I don't think that's sustainable, and I certainly don't think the business community in Canada is asking us to increase Canada's deficit by tens of billions of dollars. We know that fiscal responsibility is key. So what we looked at with the accelerated capital cost investment is incentivizing new investments, incentivizing jobs, incentivizing the creation of more opportunities. So we create a context in which you're going to be able to draw in new investment and benefit from it in a very competitive way with the United States. And you make a good point about regulatory issues, and that's why a big part of the fall economic statement was addressing some of how we're going to move forward on simplifying ease of doing business, simplifying regulatory hurdles that exist. We've heard from the concerns that businesses are laying out, but you can't both ask for massive tax cuts for corporations and ask us to continue to be fiscally responsible and keep the deficit under control. Well, the other alternative is massive cuts in other areas, which I don't think is in the best interest of Canadians.
I think we're asking for a responsible. I think that's a classic, like, don't cut anything, but don't tax me more. So I think we are actually looking for a balance. People get the long game here. We like being Canadian. We like what it is, and we know that comes at a price. We just don't want to be put at a disadvantage for investment dollars.
Well, I think there's a number of contexts. I mean, as I've gone around the world recently talking with for example, talk about the Shell investment again, that was conversations in Davos, conversations in Asia with the leadership, a lot of hard work by the previous government and this government, by BC governments of multiple stripes to try and demonstrate that we were a great place to invest. But as we draw in billions of dollars worth of investments from around the world in the country, we highlight the advantages in Canada, the stability, the extraordinary workforce, the educated, driving forward, value-driven citizens, the access to markets that we have. We are the only G7 country with free trade with every other G7 country. We have almost 2/3 of the world's GDP that we have free trade with right now. These are advantages that the U.S. doesn't have in terms of bringing in skilled labor, in bringing in immigration, which we know is going to be an important source of growth in the coming years. The U.S. is going in a different direction. So there's a lot of ways in which people look at where it's competitive to invest. Obviously, when you're talking about investments here, that price differential is a real problem that we have to look at. But the overall context has many different facets to it on which we are quite competitive. But I'm very much looking forward to listening to how we can boost that even further.